right, so what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing great, ready for a new week, etc. I wanted to go over a couple things, including DXY. We're going to revisit what my previous markup was like, just to kind of catch up, see what happened. It's kind of interesting when you guys see this. I haven't touched it at all. Okay, I have not touched it at all. If you go back to the original recording, the original markup, you will see that this is right on point because I haven't touched it at all. Okay. Before I start sharing though, and going into that, I'm actually going to share the news this week real quick. There's a lot going on here, and I want people to understand this. There's a massive distraction going on, but that massive distraction actually is relevant to everything. Okay? It's relevant to everything within the market. Everything relevant to what's going on here in our nation, right? We've had going on 3 weeks, almost a month now, of officially the new presidency, and a lot has come out. At some point, I would like to talk about what's going on. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him about it, but maybe me and Chris can hop on and do the call like we did before. Because I'd like to get some insight of people from what people are seeing now in the news. I'd like to get the insight of how they feel, right? Now that we've seen the starting, I want to see how they feel, because a lot of the news that's coming out literally is exposing what the hell is going on and what has been going on. This is by both sides. This is why the situation is so interesting, right? So there's a lot of emotion tied to it. The only thing I ask is that when some of these things come out, contain yourself. That's the only thing you can do, is control your own emotions, right? It is not pleasing to hear that as a nationwide taxpayer, as all of us at some point have been or still are, what was it, $64 billion, I think, they found within all the receipts that have been gone through, right? So $64 billion has been found and misappropriated completely. The irony is that is 1% of the whole list of what Elon's going through now. Before anybody goes into, well, Elon has access to this, Elon has that. No, they don't. They don't. If you understand what P2 information is, Elon does not have access to that. They're literally just seeing where money is actually being appropriated, because it's an exposure thing. This is an exposure process. I cannot say it enough. I've said it a few times. And I mean, low key, didn't I call you out on it when I was like, we need to understand what Nasara actually is.
Yeah.
Right? We need to understand what Nasara actually is. And I beg of everybody who's watching this gets posted on IG, Facebook, whatever, please, everybody research Nasara.
Yeah, really by the moment.
It is all part of the process, okay? We're going to hear a lot of harsh truths, and this is where a lot of the separation can come, which is why I say control your own aura, your own energy, your own emotions, because this is very troubling to know that this is what's going on, right? How does this feed into the markets? Okay, it is a massive distraction because it is news. We know news is distracting. This isn't moving the markets per se, but it has the ability to, right? So what I mean by that is that at some point, the plan is, don't shoot the messenger, but just, like I said, do your research and understand. The money that has been paid into our IRS, our taxes and everything like that, that's supposed to all be coming back to us because it was completely misappropriated. We're supposed to be getting that back. So if you paid over the span of your lifetime $100,000 into the IRS, yes, you're supposed to get $100,000 back. Believe it or not, okay? It's up to you. But that's part of the process. So when I said a few weeks ago, it's going to be dark before it gets bright, we're in that little dark position right now. That's where it's going to lead into the news. Now, should the money actually come back to us the way it's supposed to, that can move the market because, in fact, let me ask you, I'm curious, Zay, since you're on here with me. That money comes back to us, does the DXY go up or down?
Well, if it plays out, in my opinion, if it plays out like it did in 2020 when people received money, then it'll go back into the marketplace. So that'll send,
But we should see a massive bearish move
yeah,
on
right.
the DXY because how do we look at the DXY? Supply and demand.
That's it.
Supply is the bearish moves, demand is the bullish moves. So if all of a sudden you have how many people? 300 million people that are here in the US?
Get thousands of dollars.
You're going to see a massive, massive drop on the DXY, which we have been waiting for, right? There's two. I can say that we've been waiting for up and we've been waiting for down. Now, you take back, what, 6 years ago? When DXY, actually 5-6 years ago, when DXY really hit my radar, there's a gap. There's a price gap, a very, very small one at around 78 point something, right?
Oh, wow.
That would have been it's decent sized gap, but it needs to be retouched, right? So with a candlestick. So could we see it? Absolutely could. Now the other thing though is that if all these things change for the positive, I've also said that the DXY could go up because now the dollar is not only strong on the outside of the US, but it's strong here in the US. That could cause a move up depending on some of these things that are going on. So there's a little bit like, I don't want to sit here and say I'm playing both sides because I can tell you it can go up, it can go down, it can go up, it can go down, right? There's reasons for both, and that's what I want you guys to understand is that if you're paying attention to the like executive orders that are going through, the businesses that are being shut down right now, what did we see? We just saw 10,000 what is it, US aid individuals lose their job overnight. So are we going to see a spike in unemployment? Yeah, we are, right? It's going to be darkest before it gets light, okay? So that could also send the DXY down. We could see this bearish move, right? Now, I'm going to interpret that to what we're seeing right now, okay? So let's go over Forex Factory of what we're looking at for the week here. We've got some high points, only a couple ones, but they could be movers in the market. Powell testifying, core CPI. Powell testifying again, more crude oil inventories. Now, the oil is going to be interesting because Trump is fighting against BRICS. He wants BRICS to not necessarily dismantle, but he wants BRICS to be based off of the US dollar. And if they decide not to, all those countries that import are going to turn around and end up with 100% tariffs. Crazy. This is how this is playing into the market. This is what I'm talking about when I say some of these executive orders, some of these choices that are being made. The only thing that I say is trust is for the best of what the people here are in the U.S. This is what we like, what they voted for. I can't say we because I didn't vote, but those that voted for Trump, this is what they voted for. So we'll take a couple of months of darkness for a long lifetime of light. I'll tell you that. Let's see. What else do we have? Thursday, of course, we've got we've got PPI as well. These are month-over-month numbers. So these are numbers that went from December to January, right? We've got unemployment claims, really nothing much on Friday outside of retail sales, which are expecting retail sales to go down a little bit. So we're looking at probably a low-key bearish week this week, okay? You're going to see a couple pullbacks. Now let's talk about what we're going to see when the pullbacks come. We're probably working on a pullback right now. Again, I'll show you why here in a second. But we're working on a current pullback right now, and this could actually, I'm curious how long it could last for the week, right? And I'll measure it out. I'll show you. But Powell testifying. That's going to move the market a little bit. CPI. CPI is the measurement that we use for inflation. And they're technically expecting the core inflation to go up by 0.1%, but they're actually expecting CPI itself to go down 0.1%. That's the month over month. What's the difference between the two? Automobiles. Automobiles are located in one sector, not the other. You can look at it right here. Look. Where was it at? It might not be in this. It might be in the CPI. Trade price soon. Fuel price is the majority of overall inflation. Inflation is an important currency evaluation because rising prices. Let me look at core retail sales. That's on. Yep, there it goes. So core excludes automobiles, right? This is what we're looking at when we understand what inflation kind of, and some of these numbers actually relate as. So when you've got core numbers, those are items that are not including like PPI, right? These are numbers that are not including automobiles, but yet PPI, CPI, and regular retail sales will include. Okay, so when we're talking about core CPI, let's retract this a little bit. Core CPI, retail numbers excluding automobiles. That's your retail sales, your foods, your clothing, anything that you can purchase where you've got an actual tangible item as retail sales, right? We see that go up. Why? What are going to be included in this? Eggs, right? Eggs are going up. You know that. People are complaining about eggs every single damn day. What else? So some of the food is actually kind of going up a little bit as well. I want to say beef went up 5%. I think avocados are going up 11%, right? So there's certain things that are going up here and there. Why though? I don't want people to think that this is just because it's an inflation game, etc. There's a cause to every reaction. Why are eggs going up? Zayd, can you tell me why eggs are going up?
I'm thinking it's, related to commodity wise, as far as, people are stealing eggs, dude. I have no idea, honestly.
So back in
Just
December,
eggs specifically. That's the weird thing, is that it was just eggs specifically.
Eggs specifically. Back in December, what did we have that came out? We had a small, I don't want to say epidemic or, of course, pandemic, right? I don't want to use those words, but we had a scare of what? The bird flu.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear about that.
So there's a massive scare still in the U.S. right now for the bird flu and how fast it's spreading.
Wow.
You also hear it as norovirus, right?
Okay.
What did Biden do? Do you have any idea?
No.
It's not just because of the bird flu, but the timing of it was just a little too weird. He killed off 100 million chickens.
What?
100 million chickens.
That makes sense.
What happens when you have a massive demand?
That's it. People ain't expecting some fresh eggs.
What happens to the right up?
Yeah.
Right up.
That makes sense.
Do your research, people. These things did happen. I'm not saying it's all because of, when you look at it in the mirror, when it smells like a fish, looks like a fish, it's probably a fish, right?
Facts.
So at the very end of the 4-year term, we have 100 million chickens that have been offed, not just because of bird flu, but chickens lay an egg a day. An egg a day. So you're telling me 100 million per day. That's 700 million in 1 week. Okay. Did it need to be that much? Probably not. But the bird flu does spread very quickly through birds.
Yeah.
So I can see why there would have been a decent number killed off, but 100 million is way too many, right?
Right.
So to me, there's a little bit on top of that. Call me biased, whatever you want. This is my opinion portion, is that I believe that everybody understands supply and demand. So What's the first thing you want to do? And look how it worked. 1 week into this whole term, officially, and all you see on X is eggs are going up, eggs are going up, eggs are going up, eggs are going up. So it worked from a media standpoint. It worked from a bad look for Donald Trump because he's in office now. And not just that, but Biden has nothing to lose at this point, right?
Yeah.
So the question I would ask anybody who wants to argue that opinion would be, do you think he would have killed off 100 million chickens in his first year of term? Probably not. That's my opinion. So just think about that, right? Anybody who wants to argue that point, think about that and consider it.
There's still some last minute shots happening on both sides, you know.
Of course. And some of those shots were the massive amount of pardons to these individuals who, I don't know about y'all, but I believe Dr. Fauci should be facing something. Period. I'm not gonna go that far as to what I think should happen, but I think that he should be held accountable for something, right? That man got a pardon without even having any form of a trial or even any accusation. What does that tell you? Some scary shit, right?
If it wasn't necessary, if it wasn't what we know it is, they wouldn't have had to do something like that.
Right. So I digress. Back to the Forex factory here. So we got CPI, core CPI possibly going up. That could be due to the food sector, right? CPI actually coming down. That's including automobiles. That's a month over month. We could possibly see it come down. I personally believe that both of those are going to probably come right in at 0.3, right? Because there might have been a little bit of change, but not too much. But either way, what you're going to end up seeing with one going down and the other going up, you're going to see one candle in that first hour when that happens at 8:30, or the 30-minute candle, if you wish. When 8:30 my time happens, 10:30 Eastern, you're going to probably see a move up and then start coming down, right? The core CPI is going to cause it to go up. When you see inflation going up, that's going to cause it more of a demand, which means it's going to be bullish. Technically, if you look at the other currencies, when inflation goes up, the currency goes down. Why is that? Because of the fact that it's less valuable as a currency. You got to understand, again, reeling it back into supply and demand and how you focus on the DXY, it's viewed differently. So it goes opposite with some of these news topics. When you've got a weak currency, it will go down. When you've got a strong currency, it will go up, except for the dollar. The dollar will go opposite of those. When we have a weak dollar, it will actually go up in this moment of the cycle because of the demand. When the supply goes up, it will go down. So understand that it kind of flip-flops a little bit. Now, the year over year, we're still sitting at the same inflation. So you're telling me that all these we're not raising rates, we're lowering rates, we're doing this, it didn't do a damn thing. We're still sitting at the same inflation rate from a year ago. We'll see. Anyway, I believe that this is probably going to be part of the pullback on the move up. I'll show you why. And then as we start getting into the end of the week, into next week, you're going to probably start seeing the bearish move starting to come down, hopefully, from what I'm seeing here. Now, the difference between CPI and PPI, this is where I completely disagree in how these are used. Okay, CPI is the end result. If you understand the way that something is manufactured, there is a beginning, middle, and end, right, before it goes out to production. All those supplies and anything that's put into whatever that end product is has a cost. So you start with somebody with the idea they got to go to a supplier, right? Then there's somebody else that comes involved. And you've got CPI, PCE, and CPI to represent these. PPI is after the initial item is created that goes to a supplier. The supplier then distributes it to retail stores. Those retail stores sell it. CPI is the measurement after everything. I don't like that because then you've got retail markups. That's how businesses make money. They are going to sell you a product, and they're not going to sell it at their cost. Otherwise, what is the point of being in business? Okay. So CPI measures the very, very end of what we're paying, the actual dollar coming out of our pocket. PPI is when it goes from stage one to the supplier. Or sorry, from the supplier to the retail market, right? So PCE is the very first one. So in order, PCE goes from the start to the supplier, PPI goes from supplier to retail, CPI goes from retail to consumer. Please note that and understand it, because you will then understand why these numbers go up and down the way they do. Okay? So why do I not like CPI? Again, it's because it's got the retail markup. That's not the true value of the product. The true value of the product comes from the supplier, right? The supplier who put it together. They buy all the stuff at the very beginning, they supply it, those costs are included, and then it goes to the retail outlet. At that point, you have no retail markups. You have a true value of what the product that is completed is ready to be sold as, and then you can measure, okay, this is what it's truly worth. I don't know. I don't know if you guys will agree with me on that. You guys might like CPI at the very end as a measurement, but just understand the difference between all three of them. So we've got PPI numbers. This is going to be numbers that go from supplier to retail chain. They're expecting it to go up. This actually, what is it? I forgot. Excludes automobile core. So this would make sense. Food sector pushing this up. Your farms selling to a grocery store, right? They're going to sell it probably at an increase because they have less of a supply and a higher of a demand because all the retail consumers need to buy it, right? But just consider that if there's a product that costs less before it gets to a retail outlet, how much are those retail outlets really increasing prices as? Because those retail outlets, you don't hear, like there's a farm out here, it's called Schnepp Farms. You don't hear Schnepp Farms doing advertising, right? Oh, but you'll hear Kroger or Fry's doing advertising. So they have to add those in, right? Those costs, they go into the product that they sell, not just for advertising, but their workers, their wages, this, that, and the other, electricity bills for all the stores, etc. It all goes into all what plays into what you pay for a product, okay? So when we're sitting here saying PPI going up, core PPI, again, food sector, the regular PPI, including automobiles, staying the same. Doesn't surprise me. We haven't heard a lot regarding automobiles, and that's a big factor as well, because why? There might not be as many automobiles being sold like eggs, but that's when you look at the numerical value, right? The numerical value of a carton of eggs is $9 right now, where a car is $30,000 to $40,000. So a $30,000 to $40,000 car is still going to have an impact, just like a form of eggs. It can cancel things out, right? So in that case, we're sitting here saying PPI is going to stay the same. I agree with it. Okay. Now that's a lot of information I just gave you on. I hope it makes sense. Maybe we can always talk about it later on. Unemployment claims, expecting them to go up. I definitely expect them to go up. Just talked about it. 10,000 workers. And they're only expecting it to go up 2. There's going to be more and more and more and more. Now, I pose this to you guys. U.S. aid lost 10,000 workers. There's been a lot of money being found within what was done within U.S. aid and some of the other sectors, the Department of Education, right? What do you think is going to happen when they get into the Child Protective Services? You got all these missing children. I'm hoping that something gets shed into light in regards to this, because these people, I have a feeling that it's going to be a very, very rude awakening, and it's going to be something that's going to try to be shot down worse than the Department of Education situation. When you're talking liberal Democrats, I don't know if you've seen the clips, but you have to understand that in the different orders or the different branches of government, there is a pecking order that needs to happen. There's a process for everything. Maxine Waters and a bunch of liberal Democrats went to go, I don't want to use the word storm, but they all approached the Department of Education building while Elon Musk was in there doing his business, right? That is part of the executive branch. So, being part of the executive branch, any of the legislative branch or even judicial branch, you have to actually set a meeting. You can't just walk into the building. You have to actually set a meeting. And so, in fact, you want to send a new link right now? Processes with the branches. You have to set a meeting. If you're part of the legislative branch, you have to set a meeting with whoever's at the top of the executive branch. In this case, because the Department of Education falls under that. So, guess who Maxine Waters would need to set a meeting with? Donald Trump, because he's the head of the executive office or executive branch. These individuals walked up to the building and they treated this man that was standing outside like a piece of shit. Pardon my French. He held his ground. He didn't let anybody in. But these are the things. There's a lot of fear-mongering things that are going on, right? So the Department of Education is in trouble. And I'll tell you a quick little story here. For those of you that know, my mother lives with me, right? And I take her to her doctor's appointments, this, that, and the other. I had mentioned in our chat, if you guys had seen it, I said, watch, the Department of Education is next. Within the span of 15 hours, there was things coming out about the Department of Education. It didn't take long. So I'm sitting here talking to my mom about it at one of her doctor's appointments. There's a lady that's sitting right next to her. And she said, you know what? She said, I don't mean to butt into your conversation here. She said, I used to work for the Department of Education at the state level here in Arizona. And she said, when the Fed came in, she'd been there for 35, 40 years or something like that. She said, when the feds came in from the federal level of the Department of Education, she said it ruined the whole thing. It ruined the whole thing. This is coming from somebody who worked face-to-face in these situations. They made the states pay for training classes that were done in Washington, D.C. That money went to the Department of Education from the states to the federal level. It took money from the state level. Now, I want you guys to also understand one thing. The Department of Education is not going anywhere. It's the federal level that's being investigated. Just like abortion is going nowhere for those that say, my body, my choice. Yes, I am one of those people. I am pro-choice. It's your body. You do with it what you wish because you have to suffer any consequences. So that's where I kind of disagree on that's one of the items I disagree with from a conservative standpoint. But at the same time, the power for any of these situations is going back to the states. People will be the first one to say abortion is illegal. No, it's not. Your state is setting the precedent for how that is. The Department of Education is going away. No, it's not. Your state is going to be able to decide where those funds are allocated and how they're used. Know that this is happening. You're going to hear something different. You're going to see something different when it comes to algorithms and social media. The power is going back to the states. That's it. Okay. But was the federal level spending our money at an unprecedented rate? Absolutely. So I digress on that as well. I could talk about this for a long time because there's so many misconceptions over the past so many years, even before I was born, and I'm older than everybody in this damn group. And this goes back to even when your parents were children. Before that, right? The Fed's been around for 100 years. You have to understand that the Fed is not what you think it is. The Fed is highway robbery, period. So I'm really curious as to what Powell decides he wants to say how he's going to play this game because he's part of the Fed. So that ends outside of retail sales. Retail sales probably going down a little bit. Core retail sales. I mean, we're not in. So core retail sales probably going down because people are saving money. Again, food sector, energy sectors, etc. Retail sales probably going down the way that they are here because we are not in a high point of automobile sales. This is not the time to do it. You never want to buy brand new. Every time you buy, you probably want to buy closer to the end of the year because they're bringing in new stuff, so prices come down quite a bit. So we're not in that time right now at all. So enough for this week. Enough news for the week. There's a lot of information. I'll be more than happy to discuss it even further with anybody else. But here we go with what our overview is. Now, this is exactly, like I said, I did not touch this chart at all. Okay. Now, what do you see? I was slightly right, but it still kind of looks a little wrong. Why? Because we didn't start coming down as fast as we did. But I'm going to show you something. The line that I have here, as far as this trend line, look where it goes. All I did is just extend it just a little bit. So there's your break. This is your official retest. And now we're starting to come down. So I will take this and say all we were with this, we were just 2 weeks ahead. That's it. Now all I did, you see it right now, I just moved these over exactly the same exact way that I had it right over here, right? Watch this. Where are we at? We're in the golden zone, baby. We're in the golden zone. Now here's the thing. What do we have up here at the top? Well, we got a fair value gap. So we might see a, we might see a little bit of an uptick, a little further up, right? This is where we might see inflation, the inflation portion, right? CPI. This is on the 4 hours, so this is probably going to last for the first couple days within the market of the week. This is going to go into next week. And if you look down here at the RSI, we're sitting here, high. Look at where my high is at the top. It's right here. Came into overbought. Look, we came into overbought. Here's your high. This is lower than this previous high, right? So what happens when you have a lower high? Signals a downtrend. Okay. So I would be looking for the DXY to be bullish for the most part at the beginning of the week. And then when we start seeing unemployment, whatever it may be, like we'll probably be like around maybe this area, retesting my support and resistance line here. And then we might start seeing this coming down in the next week. Okay. The reason also why I say I want to see it coming back up is because there is room for a lower high here on the 4 hour. You see that lower high? It actually becomes a lower high. It rejects underneath the zone. Then we start coming all the way down, baby. So it makes sense. It makes sense. It kind of goes along. I'm not going to say news is pushing everything, but all in all, here's the irony portion. We're trading off of, we're looking at the 4 hour, right? We're trading off of these highs and lows, but this is where volatility comes in because check this out. I don't know about you, but all I see right there is a sideways move, consolidation. Right? Consolidation within the DXY, waiting for a breakout. We're waiting for the breakout. When we wait for the breakout, if we want to see now if we start seeing, this is where I'm going to play this out 2 different ways. We're going to start seeing the changes to make a stronger economy in the U.S., which we've already seen some of these actions taken, that means more jobs, people filling jobs, which makes sense because I've seen now where some individuals who are illegal immigrants, they're taken off of jobs. They've been deported, right? Immediately, American individuals are being hired, specifically in like the construction side. Mexican and immigrant labor, it was cheap. You could hire 10 of those individuals, which sucks because when you look at it, yeah, they have a job, but you're paying slave wages. Let's be real. Let's be real. So how righteous are you for hiring an illegal individual? People need to think about that, right? How righteous are you? I'm giving somebody a job. Illegal immigrants need to be here all the time. It's fine, it's fine. No, it's not, because you're degrading them by what you're paying them. Pay them what they should be making. What they should be making is an American living wage, correct? So let them become American the correct way, pay them their correct wages, and guess what? We're all good to go. So what is happening now is that people are sitting here with some of these developers and these GCs that are out here are hiring cheap labor, getting things done, and now having to let them go. So now you have no choice but to hire an American individual. So jobs are going to go up. Wages are going to need to go up. I'm not concerned with these tariff situations at all. Those are scare tactics. When he says I'm adding a tariff, I'm like, go right ahead. Because every one of these countries that has added a tariff to, they've all conceded. They've all conceded. And before anybody goes into that, oh well, he tariffed Mexico and Mexico gave in. You'll see the other side saying, oh no, Biden had 10,000 troops at the border already, so all he did is just instill what Biden did. Can't compare the apples to oranges, because what did Biden not do? He didn't control the border. He could put the people down there, but he didn't control the border. Two different factors then at that point. Not only are more individuals down there, but now it's being regulated. Whole different scenario. So, I digress again. If we see the dollar take this consolidation and break on the way down, as I'm showing, what is the big move after that, Zay? To the moon, baby. To the moon. And this is going to be to the moon without the demand of inflation and the demand of high prices, this, that, and the other. We're going to have a strong economy. So keep your eyes open. This is why I say pay attention to these things. Don't be entertained by Twitter, X, and Facebook, whatever. Be entertained by that. Get some of the things that you can stimulate your mind with and say, hey, maybe I need to look at this from a different view, right? Take those things and feed your brain to a different form and a different train of thought, but don't let it dictate everything you do. This right here, and I know you guys, I'm looking down because my camera is over here on my right. It should be looking up here. But when I'm pointing this way, I'm pointing at my charts. When you're sitting here looking at these charts will tell you everything you need to know. You have to decipher what it is as far as how it gets translated into your everyday. If you understand MMM, you're gonna understand problem, reaction, solution. Right now we're in consolidation. We're in an uptrend. So what do we need in an uptrend to continue up? We need a higher low. Guess what we're moving towards, right? So at the beginning of the call, I said that we could be seeing the dollar drop, especially if we do get all this money coming out, right? That would be perfectly fine. I don't know if that's going to actually cause it to drop to that small gap at the 78. It could rise it all the way to the 119 that we're expecting, 126 that we're expecting, because if all the money comes out to us and we've got things that are fixed the way that they should be, and we have a strong economy, at that point you have a legitimate bullish move where you don't have to second guess all the bullshit. You don't have to look at DXY as being the opposite. You don't have to look at this. You don't have to. If we have a bullish move with a good economy, our dollar is strong in our U.S. soil, you're going to see bullish moves and you're going to see the value still going up like a normal currency would. Not just the base currency, but AXY, JXY, SXY, EXY, BXY, all of them. The way that they move, like I was saying, when their currency is strong on their soil, you'll see it going up. And inflation goes down, you'll see the value going up. On the dollar, it's opposite. So hopefully within the new economy that we're looking towards, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So understand your economic position of what we're looking at here and possibly moving to a higher low with a light at the end of the tunnel. We've got 4 years, guys. 4 years. That's a lot of 1 hour candles. That's a lot of 4 hour candles. It's a lot of daily candles. Look, this whole thing right here, this was Joe Biden on the way up. Now, we have a strong dollar. Sure. But are your pockets strong? Probably not. This is why I hate this fucking move. I'm sorry. I hate this move. I hate this move because it shows that we have a strong dollar, but it didn't do anything for us here. I want a strong dollar, and I want it to be able to work for us here. So literally, we could actually see this come all the way down here if we wanted to, right? The first goal that I set was this line right here. Why? Because between the support that we've just created and the previous support, that's all that we've got. And if you understand how the DXY moves, if it goes down, what's this? What I would refer to as this count right here for me, I look at this as pennies. When we're at 100, when we're at an even 100, the dollar is worth $1. Okay, 100 pennies equals $1. So right now the dollar is worth 108 pennies and 108.1 pennies almost. That makes sense, right? But it's not here. We have a strong dollar, but again, it's out there outside of the U.S. because our prices are still so high. So yes, this is the value, but it doesn't translate to your wallet. So as we see this coming down, right, we're getting closer to the dollar value. I don't necessarily want that. I want it to go all the way up here. But I want it to go up there, like I said, with my pockets lined, with a strong dollar here. When my $100 can go a long way here in the U.S., oh, best believe I have no problem paying for shit. Look at how high that we want it to go. 120, baby. If I can see it go to 120 based upon a strong economy here in the U.S., I'm happy as a clam. I'm happy as a clam. Now, I'm US, right? I don't necessarily, I'm not going to say I don't care about other countries, because I do. We're all humanity. We're all part of the human race. But then I ask you, how can you fill a cup from an empty cup? Right now, our cup is empty. Our cup is empty. So how do we do anything for the rest of the world? This translates to your own self. People coming up to you asking for help, asking for handouts, this, that, and the other. How are you supposed to help if your cup and your plate is empty? What are you going to feed them from? What are you going to give them to drink? Nothing, because your cup is empty. So we need to take care of what we have here first, and then take care of afterwards. Once that happens, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. This is why I've been so pro about all the shit that's going on. I've been saying, like, look, I don't have to like Donald Trump as an individual. And I blame the mainstream media for that, because there's a lot that I've seen recently that show a whole different light, right? So I'm 50-50 on the guy at this point. I'm not going to say I like him. I'm not going to say I don't, because he did say a couple of things that I really don't agree with. But that doesn't mean he can't run the country. America is a business, people. Let a businessman run it. Not these politicians that are just taking and funneling money everywhere. So let's take a look at GA real quick. I need to get rid of all this stuff because this is all said and done. Let's get rid of this because the teacup is done. So now we're going to turn around. Look, 32 drawings. We're going to remove all those. I'll mark GA like arm is marked up. Look at that. Tatted it up. We are on a massive uptrend. Oh, so this is interesting. What do I say GA moves like? DXY. So let's do this here real quick, because this is my favorite one, and then I can let you guys go. I've talked way too much already as is. Zay is like, I gotta leave, man. I got things to do. This Super Bowl Sunday.
Hey, look, keep giving the sauce, man. Keep giving the sauce.
And you guys are getting everything right here firsthand as to how I do this. All right. So GA. Oh, this is, if this doesn't get as simple as any, I don't know what to tell you guys. I really don't. So we're going to be looking at GA on the 4 hour. What's the first thing that's going to catch your eye right here, Zay? I'm curious.
As far as the RSI is concerned, are you looking at the market itself?
Either one. It should match with the RSI.
I like that we're approaching that fair value gap down on the 4 hour and approaching the bottom of this RSI.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say.
Beautiful.
Exactly. Beautiful. Why? Because we are almost at a retest of a oversold position right here. Okay. So we let this come down. We go oversold. We see how it plays out. That is enough to go here. And then from there, we're just whoop, new highs. New highs. So
easy bag, guys. Easy bag.
I'm telling you right now, just take that move. We go down to the 1 hour. What are we looking at the 1 hour? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. If you want to go down to even the most smallest move, like you could literally get in at my white line. And have a decent, and that's a massive what's that? SL. But that's also a massive TP. So this is what you do, right? You go down to even the smallest time frame. Let's go down to the very, very, very smallest one and see what our easiest entry could be. Damn. All right. So what do we have on here now? Okay, we have a fair value gap down here. All right. Well, probably going to end up filling that, right? And then your zone technically would be here. This would be your zone. So now we can take this and move the entry.
Other side, the other one, yeah.
We just cut that down by 60 pips. Now we're sitting at a 47 pip, right? That's off the 1 hour. Let's jump down to the 15. Let's see what we're looking at here. Nothing big, nothing big. I would actually consider at moving this down here. And why? Because we never had, this is a resistance right here. This is a 15-minute resistance. Okay. It broke and it never came back and retested. So let's go down to the 5. What are we looking at now? Shit, now we got really convoluted here. There we go. There we go. Boom.
Look at the gap. Jesus.
So at this point, oh, I'm not even gonna do that. I'll move this. This would be my price as my bottom of my zone, right? Because look at how many times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's something that goes along with the 196042 price. Promise you that. So just based off of this, I still like this as my ceiling for the zone. Now, if you really want to get clever with it, what have I always said about consolidated positions? It retests what? 50%, right? So if I were to gauge, let's do this. From here to this line, 50% is going to be right here. Get rid of this. I just use that as a measuring tool. It's not supposed to be anything else. So now we're talking about that 196134 is a target price. And I mean, it should be because there's a little bit of imbalance even on this way up here. So let's go back. Let's consolidate some of these candles. Go back to the 1 hour. We're now looking at a 47 pip. Oh, just by bringing this up, it then goes to 29 pips, right? Bring this to your zone. Who's not going to take a 19 pip drawdown? That's the whole thing right here. 19 pip drawdown. And if you really want to get creative and you really want to snipe it, that's when you can say, I'm really going to hold until here, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. You could, but that eliminates only 10 pips. Are you going to miss out on a trade of, what is this, 700 pips? Are you going to miss out on a 700 pip move for 10 pips? No.
That's money. That's
money. At that point, I would just tell you, use risk management. Get in there now. Right. So ultimately, though, where's the lock on here? I can't move my screen.
They move it again?
Like,
oh, see it
there we go. Oh, there we go. There used to be a lock.
Yeah. Yeah, it was on the bottom right, wasn't it?
It used to be on the bottom right, yeah, but it's not there anymore. So yeah, 18 pips. Can't get any better than that. Now, if you enter in on the 18 pips and you still see it going down, then you can start looking at that middle line or the bottom one, because I mean at that point you're looking at 9 pips, right? So once it reaches this position here, start looking for buys. Now, a lot of this is probably going to end up happening because I said what? GXY and GA, you can trade the same way, right, during New York session. Does the US dollar actually start really moving when we open on Sunday? No. In fact, I guess the real question would be, what session are we in when it opens up today? We're opening up in Asian and what what do they call it? Japanese
Yeah,
session?
Asian and yen session.
Asian and yen session. Yes. Okay. So that's because they're already on Monday. This drop, you can start seeing this problem possibly happen during London session tonight. Absolutely. And what are we sitting here looking at this as, by the way? Oh, oh. Bearish flag. That was my last point that I needed to make. Bearish flag. When it breaks, if you want, so here's the cool thing. I'll be looking at this too. When it breaks, right? It's breaking this line. It's either going to do that, or I feel like it's going to do this as far as any form of a reach. Highs, right? So we're literally looking at a bearish flag either way. When this breaks, you can sell it. And I would be looking to either enter as soon as it opens and just hold it, take my risk. Or if you really want to be conservative, let it break down, come back up, retest, and then you can go ahead and sell it. But just so you guys know how this would look, if you're looking at it from right here, you're going to trade it down to the top of your zone. Yeah, that's 149 pips. And literally, you could take 67 pips, put it above your last high. You may not even reach the 67, 68 pips at all. It may come back up a little bit, but not much, right? Once it breaks, it's game over. So you're looking at 149 down, 700 on the way up, and a total of 88 pips. Risking? I mean,
Not bad at all.
there you go. I do want to take a look real quick because I haven't looked at it myself. If you don't mind, Zay.
Yep. Do you think?
Got 8 minutes here real quick. So let me see if I can do this here really quick. This is going to be the telltale of how the market really is going to look because Euro USD is the highest traded, most traded currency in the world. What I want to see is, in fact, let me ask you, what do you think I want to see? Do you want me to see this up or down?
Well, with our setup for the dollar, definitely want to see this go up. Maybe have a drop down first, go up, and come back down.
Yeah. I want to see long term. This go bearish. We can see this go bearish. We're right on track.
You trying to check the hour or the 4 hour loop?
This is the one. Let's take a look at the 4 real quick. In fact, I'm going to actually start from a higher position. Oh.
Already.
I'm not even going to go any further.
Dude, it's right there. It's clear as day.
Right there.
Maybe it comes up, gives you a little neckline retest or something, but
Well, so great thing you asked that, or not asked that, but you said that because what did we expect before the U.S. dollar really takes off? And we were looking at the 4 hour, we were looking at that pullback, right?
right.
That pullback on a 4 hour really could mean a bullish move on the way up, or then a new move down, right? So we've had this, we've had the consolidation, we've had the break, but we've never had the move back up to retest it, right? So we could possibly see that, and then like from what our thing on our DXY says down then up, this says up and then down.
Yep.
That's gonna be the big move. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's there, right? Now, what happens after this, I don't know, because this could be within the within the within Trump's presidency, it could create a double bottom and then go all the way back up, and then our U.S. dollar is done. It's toast.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by then, I'm not going to trip on that. I'm looking at this part right here because we have so many factors in this digital age with cryptos, with ETFs, right? With a whole bunch of different things that are going digitally, and USDT coming out, right? Some of the things like that. So
Quantum.
when we may see the death of the US dollar, we could. We really could.
Yeah.
But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I'm not going to sit there and worry about that now. What I'm looking at now is a double bottom being made on the monthly for Euro USD, which means for the time being, we're going to see the US dollar skyrocket. So I apologize for keeping you guys for so long. I mean, I'm passionate about this stuff. I love it because it's educational. And one thing that I feel is that if you know what's going on, you can make better decisions for your life. When you can make the better decisions for your life, you don't become a burden to those. You become more independent. You become more solidified at your role in what you need to do while you're here, right? Build your wealth, build your family, etc. Take care of yours. Like, I'll be the first one to say that I love being able to rely on individuals should I need it. But I am also one that will never ask for it until it's desperately needed. That should be the way that everybody works. We shouldn't be relying on everybody else just to pay our most recent bill, right? People are struggling out here, but there's ways that you can get yourself into a position where you don't have to.
Yep.
You don't have to. This also goes outside of trading, right? So I got a couple minutes here real quick. Outside of trading, what you do with your paycheck, your everyday paycheck, right? What you do with your tax check when it comes in. If you've got kids, you're going to get a kickback for the child taxes, right? That's thousands and thousands of dollars. What are you going to do with it rather than go spend it on bullshit, right? You put it in and you set yourself up. I'll always say it. If it weren't for the charts, I would have never known when to sell my house, and I would have lost out on a lot of money. I sold my house at the peak. It never went that high again. And I made a very, very decent 6 figures on that. And when you have the knowledge and understanding of how these things work, I owned my house for 5 years. In Arizona, capital gains is within 2. So I had to pay zero taxes on the money that I made. It's all here, guys, but decide it for yourself, man. Please. Don't let social media dictate how you live your life. Don't let social media fuel the inner flame of anything that you feel personally as far as your emotions go. Do the research, look into things. Make sure that you are 100% before you're going to go into your feeling, because at that point, you have to retract. That can be embarrassing. Some people aren't humble enough to say, I was wrong. I've said it many, many times. Life has humbled me like you wouldn't believe. But that's why I'm here. That's why Zay is here, right? We're here because we've had these experiences. We don't want you to have those experiences. Trying to get everybody out of the cycle. So I'll let it be there at that point. Anything you guys need, tag me. Holler at your boy. I want to have open discussions about this. So holler at me and let's have this conversation. I want to hear both sides. Like, it's a free portion of the communication. You will never, ever, ever offend me for anything.